Welcome to Gunship.
Hello, nice to see you there. Thank you for coming at this conference. When I was preparing my talk, I was thinking about what I showcased last year, the new things we put in 3.2, the things we are planning. So who was here last year already? Quite really half. So last year I was thinking we have a lot of different things to showcase. And this year I was thinking, okay, do I want to make the same talk? Do I want to, show that there's a new things in 3.2? And there's a lot of things we've been putting in 3.2, but they were quite technical because the more Haxe move forward, the more we have already fixed, all the big things. We are not planning to kind of bloat the language with many, many features. So we don't have that much very strong features, like very exciting new things to present language-wise. But there's still a lot of exciting things going on in Haxe. So I was thinking I will broaden a bit my talk this year, but having a different approach about talking about Haxe to you. So that was a question mark. How do I introduce this talk? So I took time to think about what was Haxe, where we are right now, where we are heading, and what is important in Haxe. So, and when thinking about it, I look at a bit at the timeline of Haxe, and I noticed one thing is that we have a lot of choice and a lot of different things to choose from. And one of the things I noticed is that in Haxe, I started, I think the first release was in 2006, but I started working in 2005 on it at the very beginning when there was actually just a little bit of toying like type system and beginning of programming language. So it means that this year in the fall, this fall, it will be the 10 years of Haxe, which is quite a milestone for us, I think. 10 years for a language is quite a lot. Thank you. And I was like, wow, 10 years already? Already? I feel still young. And to think that I've been like spending 10 years on Haxe, I was thinking, wow, that's a lot. We start from very small language that was mostly used by maybe X-Flash user or something, to something much more, with a lot of more potential. And a lot of Kafka lots of usage. So the thing I wanted to present today to you is like, all the things we made during these 10 years, I try to select 10 things I really like about Haxe, and to explain you somehow what is important for me, what Haxe stands for, and hopefully you will get some like vision of what's coming next. In no particular order, because it's really hard, when you have 10 things to choose and okay, what is the most important or something? So, maybe this is the most important actually. Freedom. I think Haxe brings a lot of freedom for many different reasons. First one, which is kind of obvious but still important, is that it's free software and open source. It means that you're not, when you're using Haxe, you're not locked in some kind of proprietary software, saying that you can't modify the source code or you can't understand how it works. If you get a bug, you cannot fix it. In Haxe, I mean, if you know well the technology you're doing with it, you can hack, you can modify things, contribute back. And it's very important to have this freedom of the source code for the other people using Haxe. This is because it's open source actually that is being so much growing outside of the original vision I had. When Hughes, for instance, contributes C++ backend, it opens a lot of new possibilities for mobile, for native development that was not planned in the original idea. So this freedom is important. Another freedom it brings, and I think also this one is quite unique to Haxe, is the freedom of the platform. When you invest some time running your code in a browser in JavaScript or on a mobile using Objective-C, for instance, you're investing a lot of energy and time writing your code in a technology. What Haxe brings you, because of its natural cross-platform capacities, is that you have the freedom to change your mind, to adapt your application to another platform, and to choose the best technology, whatever the platform is. I think this is very important, and this may be the most important point in Haxe, is that you have this flexibility, this capacity to say, okay, I have this application running, and I wrote it in Haxe, and I have it running on mobile. But no, there is like a new market opening, for instance, or new possibilities. I want to bring it on another platform, which is not a mobile, and be on the web browser, because potentially I want to do it in JavaScript. And Haxe allows you to do that. It's not free. I'm not claiming it's free. Like write once, run it anywhere. It's not like that exactly. But at least, I mean, most of the code we run exactly 100% the same, all the code logic, and then for the parts that are platform specific, like the display, the sound, the controls, different things, you can actually quite easily, depending on the framework you're using, but with a good framework, you can quite easily port to other platforms and adapt your application to this platform in a very native way. This is also one important point, is that it's not about having like kind of virtual machine that will prevent you from accessing the native capacities of the platform. You will get always access to the native capacities of the platforms because we are native everywhere. So something important. So Haxe is about freedom. Freedom of choice for you to choose to modify the source code. Freedom about choosing the platform that matters for your application. One thing I like about Haxe is the simplicity. It's not really hard to learn Haxe. I hope so, but it's a lot harder than it looks when you read the manual, for instance. But manual is quite technical, but and it's meant to. So the simplicity of Haxe is something important. Simplicity on the way it's designed. Simplicity in the way the syntax works. I always say that I want to keep Haxe simple. I want to keep Haxe accessible, so people can learn Haxe at a glance. They can look at the code and understand what it does if they have some prior knowledge in another programming language like JavaScript, C++, Java, whatever. I think it's quite important to be able to quickly learn Haxe and understand what it does and play with it. And I want to, as much as possible, to keep it simple. Of course, we have some parts which are less simple than others because we bring a lot of features. But I mean, at the first step, learning Haxe and getting started with it is quite simple. And I would say it's simple with style. Haxe brings his own style. It's not about being simple and being just, plain. It's about having a type system that enforces some style of coding guidelines and ways of coding, which is, I find, more elegant. And I think, a lot of developers are getting started with Haxe, and then after they're really happy with it, and I hope you're part of that, that they can't write. They don't want to write other code after that because they are quite happy because of the expressiveness of Haxe and because of they find the language quite good. And I think we managed to do something good there. I was talking about syntax. I think if you compare to some of the language that, okay, they have all these cool new features in terms of new syntax, and then you have dozens of different syntax. So maybe it's cool on paper, and it's a good marketing argument. But then people start writing, a lot of different code using different idioms and a lot of different syntax. And you cannot communicate any longer inside a team, for instance, or with people outside that don't know the language in details, because all these different syntax in the language. I think maybe the worst example is that is Perl, which have all these like crazy syntax shortcuts, and then what is often is that you know what you write Perl, you know when you write it, but after you can't read it anymore. So that's kind of programming is. So I think syntax is overrated in general in programming language, and that's the simplicity of Haxe and keeping to the basics in terms of syntax is important. So this is an example of very nice looking syntax, but well, you don't need that. One thing which is not I really like, something that I really like, and it is not so much simple actually, are macros. So I like the simplicity, but I like also like the complexities in the details. And macros is one of the things. Macros are quite simple actually. If you look at this, this is a Haxe manual schema. You will see it's quite simple to understand, right? Well, maybe not that much, but basically what a macro does is that it enables you to run code at compile time. So well, there is a workshop on Monday about macros. Who goes there? Well, if you are maybe there is some rooms for it, some place for workshop macro. Well, ask Silex Labs about it, and you should definitely go there and learn about macros, because this is one thing that really helps you write better Haxe code and more bring you the full power as a language in an elegant manner. I'm really also attached to speed. This is something quite important. On my day job is to write indie games. I run a small studio in Bordeaux, and games is one of these quite rare areas where performance still matter. I mean, when you're doing like server things, you put more servers on these kind of things if you want more performances. On desktop, you have quite powerful machines, and unless you're doing stupid things, you just will not take much performances. But in games, performance is important. And so I want Haxe to be efficient in terms of speed. I don't want people, to use the standard library and find that it's so much slow that they have to re-implement their own thing. I want it to be as much efficient as possible. Promise of Haxe is that if you use it, you will not get significant speed, slow speed compared to using native code. And I think that's an important point, that you get the benefits of Haxe or of high-level programming language, but you also get the benefits on ASCII code. So of course, it's not maybe 100%, but being more high-level enable you also to invest more time in algorithms or optimizations on some part of your code. So globally, I think it's a good trade-off. And it should keep it this way. We want to keep it this way. We don't want Haxe to become kind of big thing that is very slow and another language starting with a G. One thing that I like is work we've been doing at Haxe Foundation. So during the first maybe 7 or 8 years, we are doing really open source kind of projects. Not really. Actually, I think during the 5 years, it was only me doing open source projects. It was maybe not so much people knew about how to develop for the compiler, and so. But soon some people are starting to contribute back, and so at some point I thought it was a good idea to kind of formalize a bit the way we're working. So it's been already 2.5 years since we started Haxe Foundation, and well, at first it was just putting things in place, getting our partners, which I really thank all of them. Currently we have Tivo and Prezi and Motion Twin, Ariana and Proetaria. Thank you for your support. So the thing is, Haxe Foundation is that we provide support contracts for our partners. They give us money to improve the language, to invest in the technology, and to fix their bugs when they find some, which happens sometimes. And to also to be able to talk with us about and it's very important for us to hear back from our partners and users in general, to see how they are using Haxe, what they want to do with it, what they can't do with it at the moment, and it helps us drive the direction in a significant way. Because there is like how much platforms at the moment for Haxe? Like maybe 7 or 8. Like there's a lot of possible ways to change things and to improve things. So we have to take decisions on sometimes about, do we put more work into PHP target, or I know Simon is not really happy about it in general when it comes to debugging PHP, or do we make more work into a new platform, or Python target, which is new in 3.2? Well, the partners help us to choose which area is important and significant in terms of growing Haxe. Thanks to partner, we get a small budget, which is, well, small to medium, like 60K euro per year. We spend the budget in the following way. 62% goes to development, mostly like sponsoring developments. Simon and Jason, different people working with Haxe Foundation to develop the Haxe compiler, fixing bugs, improving documentations. 20% go to sponsoring, which is a conference, paying for sometimes for trips for people coming to the conference when they can't afford it, and they're doing great work on the community, and we want to help them with this. A few goes to taxes and well, running the whole thing. And that's it. I mean, that's the way we spend our budget and time. Still, some part of the budget, around 50%, is not used at the moment, which means we are not find a way, yet not find a way to spend all the money we get for our partners. Which doesn't mean we not need more money, but which means we need more projects. Actually, we need more projects for that. So one of the things we want to improve is the communication around Haxe. We've been very slow at handling that because we are developers mainly, so communication is maybe not, marketing is maybe not our strong point. So we need to find ways, and we have started making progress in that area, finding ways to getting our partners like explaining about things they do with Haxe and making articles out of that, and publishing and like promoting the success stories around Haxe. That's the kind of thing we are doing at the moment. We need also better ways to work together, because we still somehow, after 2 years, running a part of the Haxe Foundation as an open source project, where everybody can contribute, and we want to keep it, of course, this way. But we want to involve more people, to get more people like helping us into developing the language. So if you have some ideas, if you want some to get support from Haxe Foundation in the things you think is important for Haxe, just contact us, and we'll just make sure that we do great things with Haxe. Another thing I like about Haxe is Neko VM. Neko means like cat in Japanese. Actually, this is quite a big cat. When I designed Neko VM, it was just a small virtual machine meant to run on the server side, and I think it's an important part of Haxe. For instance, like the design of the Neko VM was used to run the macro system. So maybe you didn't use that, but when you run macro, it gets translated to Neko and then runs into kind of Neko interpreter inside the compiler. So Neko is actually present every time you use macros, even if you don't look at it. But well, I think it's an important part of Haxe framework. We're still thinking about, should it be part like distributed with Haxe or separate downloads? We're still like not sure. One thing I would like in the future is maybe to have like another version of Neko VM, a new version. I've been thinking about it for years. I just like the time to work on it. But I think that having like somehow like very fast runtime for Haxe, but still bytecode oriented with a just-in-time will help. It will enable us to have more like easy iteration of the code without, for instance, compiling to C++, which takes a bit of time. Or I think having one platform, for Haxe is also good. Well, I have a lot of ideas about how to do that. Just need to find some time or people involved to work on that. Mostly it will be like version 2 of Nico will be like Nico with types, because currently Nico is like JavaScript, it's untyped, which means you can't get very excellent performances unless you have a very big software like they do in V8 or JavaScript engines, which does a lot of type guessing. But we know the types in Haxe, so it will be better to actually output the types and use it than at runtime. So yeah, I think a new virtual machine that kind of understand well, match kind of the way Haxe works will also help the language to grow. Well, it's still something for the future. Like there is no, like we've not started working on that yet. But well, one of the things that I like in Haxe are game frameworks. How many game frameworks do you think there is in Haxe right now? Yeah, right, too many. Well, too many, maybe not sure. Why? Maybe not too many actually. This is a picture from 25 years of anniversary of Mario, and I think we have at least 25 frameworks as well, if you count them all. Well, let me list a few of them. We have OpenFL, we have Xflixor, SnowKit with a little tilde, K, yeah, Robert, and Ips.io, which is my own framework I'm building for my games. I will talk a bit about it in my talk tomorrow. And that's it. I mean, we have a lot of all our. Of course, there is much more than that. This is more like the kind of main ones. I'm happy to see all these frameworks. I think it's very nice to have. Of course, there is NME. Sorry, I didn't. It's very nice to see all these frameworks. At some point, sometimes also I think it's sometimes a bit of lack of energy for our community to come with that much different frameworks. And of course, I'm to blame too, because I'm developing my own framework as well. So I don't think there is an easy answer to that. I'm just saying, okay, in general, I feel that, okay, as a community, we should come up like team, all the like best people of the community team together and making like the ultimate web game framework will solely kick ass. I'm not sure if that's possible. I just wish it could be. Let me tell you a bit of like what I think will be necessary for this kind of common game framework to emerge. I think it could be GPU based, which means it uses like actual GPU on the mobile. In particular, is always necessary. I think it's to handle 2D and 3D. This way we can have both in the same framework. I think it should be portable. Of course, it should be cross-platform because it acts. But being portable is something a bit different. Being portable is like putting the cross-platform compatibility into the architecture of the game framework, which means like having a very thin layer of native between the framework and the native code, abstracting things as much as possible to put as much as possible code into Haxe code and not into Nefkey code. This way, when you port to another platform, you just have to port the very low level, and this way you are guaranteed that if your low level is well tested and works the same in all the platforms, then all the other high level, since it's written in Haxe, will work on all the platforms as well. So it's a matter of architecture. Oops. How do I go back? Okay. Two other things, I think it should be important to have this game framework bringing a good workflow. Workflow is very important in game framework. Having the way you work with assets, the work you integrate with other tools. Tooling is also important. integrating with the tools that people use in the industry, being Photoshop, like 3D formats, all these kind of things, important. And I think it should be community-driven, which is like really involving the community at its core, having having as much people contributing to it and writing games with it is important. So it's still not there. Maybe it will be in a few years. So I'm just looking at the future and saying, okay, is that possible? Maybe that will be good for Haxe. One of the things I like is X roundups. Is Brandon there? No? Yeah, I think he was there. Maybe he will be there tomorrow or something, or this afternoon. He does a great job every week at doing. He's been doing that every week for 320 weeks. How come? Just give you an applause, please. Yeah. So every week this roundup sum up what happens in the Haxe community, the new things that gets done by people around Haxe. I think it's important, the new libraries that get released. It's a good way to keep you informed about Haxe, about what's happening, and hopefully like get features too when you want to release something new. One other thing I like is this conference. Thank you for being there again. It's really great, like, to be able to meet with people, talk about Haxe, talk about the things you're doing with it. I mean, for me, it's a very great source of energy and motivation to see what people are doing with the language and what kind of great things you are doing and what I didn't even think about when I started the thing in the first place. So thank you for being there. And what excites me about Haxe is also the future. I mean, we've been there like for 10 years, and I still think there is still so much things ahead of us. Like all the new things that people will come with Haxe, all the like application you will create, the games. I think Haxe has a perfect like momentum. Maybe it could be better, but it's growing slowly but surely. And the thing is that Haxe, I was talking about freedom and about platforms at the beginning of this talk, is that it doesn't get out of fashion. Because usually a language gets out of fashion when its main platforms get out of fashion. For instance, Java get out of fashion when JVM get out of fashion. Objective-C get out of fashion when Apple replaces it with another language. Maybe JavaScript someday will get out of fashion. Maybe it's getting already out of fashion because of mobile. Because JavaScript doesn't work so well on mobile. But I mean, not for applications, you know. Like even Facebook dropped JavaScript. Well, but Haxe can adapt all the change. It can be the language you're using in the next 10 years as well. So I'm really looking forward for the next 10 years. Hopefully it doesn't come that much fast, because then I will get much more old. So, thank you. And back to the beginning of this talk. Do you have any questions?
So you're talking in the future about adding possibly some kind of high video that could improve the performance. And I thought I heard that this was still planned, but can you go into more details about what that might look like and what the timeline might be for that?
Yeah, timeline is hard to say when you didn't even start the things. You know, it's like it could be done in weeks if I only have that to do, but it's not the case. Of course, it will take months to complete, but yeah, no timeline. Sorry. I just plans for the future and things that should be important and could be improved. Well, of course, if there's like a lot of interest, we can, you know, give priorities. That's the way we work.
So, are you saying you don't like Haxe Lab?
Huh?
Are you saying you don't like Haxe Lab?
Yeah,
because you listed so many things.
I wanted to keep the announcements for after the questions, but maybe you want to announce things now? Okay, we go announce things to you. So we have 2 new things to show you. You're breaking my surprise. How do I exit from this? Yes. If you go on lib.x.org, and it looks a lot better than it used to, right? So this is a new Haxe lib. You even have like the README, which is fetched from GitHub, and like complete new version. You can browse by proprietary, like the most popular. Let's see what is the most popular libraries in Haxe. It's funny that there is more people downloading like OpenFL than HXVV, right? Yeah. So you can see all the important like community. You have like the massive libraries, also like coverage, like consoles, and well, a lot of different things, which is very important. So go look at it. Just give us feedback about it. Play with it. We want to improve a bit. Still a few things in the HaxeLib website, which is to enable more like users' contribution, because right now all the content is driven by the library author. And for instance, if the author doesn't write all the tags for the library, then there is no tags, the library is not tagged, so we can't find it easily and categorize. So hopefully at some point we'll add like the ability for users who visit the website to add like comments, for instance, saying this doesn't work on this platform or this exactly, or, well, to give a bit of feedback for people that visit the website, and also to categorize better the library and help us categorize the library. So we want to like have this kind of feedback on the Haxe website. Another thing we want to announce today is a new web framework, which is not online yet. You? Okay. It will be online after Jason talks, so it will be, Jason will put it, show it tomorrow, is it? Yeah. So it's a new web framework. It's not new, it's UFront. But it's, no, there is a complete documentation which is online, and we want it to become the default Haxe web framework for Haxe. So if you're doing web development, use UFront and give us feedback. Does that answer the question? Other questions?
Actually, that's not my question, but it's one from Daniel Glasman, one of the speakers on Twitter here.
Yeah.
He's asking, moving from ECMAScript to Haxe requires more convergence, I think, about the syntax, to avoid manual rewriting. So what about convergence with ES6?
Conversion with ES6, so to be able to copy-paste JavaScript code into Haxe code. I think that's what this means. Right?
Yeah, I think he thinks it should be easier to...
Well, I think there's two possibilities for that. I think there is a fundamental difference between JavaScript and Haxe, which is types. Like, JavaScript is not typed and Haxe is typed. And I think the way you design your code when you write Haxe code or library, if you just bring JavaScript code and put dynamic everywhere, it doesn't really feel like Haxe code, and you don't get all the benefits of Haxe code. And it will not write on all the platforms if you do that, because dynamic has these platform-specific things. So I think there is not maybe exactly a copy-paste like way of doing that. Of course, if you just targeting JavaScript, you can do untyped and copy-paste like your JavaScript code, and that's it. Or __GS, and you just like embed your JavaScript code as a string. But well, we're still looking at ways to automate things. We have, like, for instance, we have this kind of ActionScript tree conversion tool that converts from JavaScript, from ActionScript tree to Axis, but it's much more easy because you have the types in ActionScript, so it's much more like one-one conversion. For S6, I think maybe S6 has optional types, so if it's well-typed code, we can maybe do something. But more a conversion tool. Copy-paste is not, well, maybe like the best way to use it.
Yeah, just maybe similar syntaxes, I think. Maybe the good thing is ES6 syntax that maybe we should use in Haxe. I think that may be the question.
Well, I think that each language has its own, way of doing it. If we start saying, okay, we should drop Haxe and use ES6, which is maybe what it's meaning. I don't know. It means we have to get the whole ES6 specification, and we lose control on the specification of our language. And the specification of our language is not arbitrary. It's not. It's meant to be able to run efficiently on all the platforms, because we decide the specification based on what can be successfully run on all the platforms, whatever these platforms support this particular feature or not. So we are making language design decision based on not only what could be good, but also what would be efficient. We don't want to have like a feature that turn out to be like to slow down the whole Xcode on this particular platform because it doesn't have native getter or something like this kind of thing. Other questions? Yeah? No? No? No, sorry. Okay.
Welcome to Gunship.